welcome to my channel. Welcome to today's video. Today's video is going to be ranking all of my Charlotte Tilbury foundations. I believe that I have all the foundations that Charlotte Tilbury has ever come out with. I've tested them all extensively. I have notes on them all. So I'm going to be going over who I think these foundations would be best suited for. I'm also going to just rank them in order of my preference. So if that sounds good to you, make sure you give this video a thumbs up, subscribe if you haven't yet, and let's just get started talking about all of these foundations. I have 4 foundations here, and I'm 99% sure that's how many Charlotte Tilbury has released ever. So I do have her full collection when it comes to foundation, and I'm going to rank these in order of preference. And while I talk about each one, just kind of talk about my thoughts on who this would be best suited for, because not all of us look for the same thing in a foundation. I do have normal leaning dry skin just for reference, and I do typically prefer a light medium coverage on a day-to-day basis. So that's just a little bit about what my preference is. Everything that I am wearing today is listed down in the description box below in case you're curious. But let's just get started with number 4. So the number 4 spot is actually going to go to her latest foundation, and that is the Charlotte Tilbury Beautiful Skin Foundation. It comes in this pump tube bottle here. This was a very confusing foundation for me. I think just initially off the bat, I expected this to be more of a lightweight coverage, kind of because it was in that packaging like the It Cosmetics CC cream. I was initially thinking that it was going to be like that, and that's my fault just judging it based off of packaging. But this is supposed to be hydrating, and it's medium to full coverage, coming in 30 shades. And all of these foundations, as far as I can see, retail for $46. So it is nice that Charlotte Tilbury does keep some consistency across the board as far as price and shade range. In all of these foundations, I did pick up the shade 4, just so you know, and at the end of this video, after I sign off, I will include a swatch photo of all of these compared to one another, just so you can see the shade 4 up against each other and how much they compare. So going back to this, it is claimed to be a hydrating foundation, and it is a hydrating foundation. Now, again, I lean normal to dry skin, and this just is too shiny for me, too dewy. You know, this was one of the very first foundation reviews I ever did on my channel. I remember it was one of the very first thing I purchased, and it's a cringy video to watch, but I'll link it up above if you want to see it. And I just remember this foundation looking so oily. Like, it didn't look like a healthy glow, like my natural oils were kind of coming through, and I just had like healthy glowing skin, which is the beautiful skin for the best healthy looking skin every day, is what this says right here. And I didn't feel like this was the best healthy looking skin. I felt like I just look like a greasy, messy teenager. It brought me back to my teenage days where my skin just looked so oily and just greasy and gross. I don't like this. I mean, I see pretty polarizing opinions of this, but it seems like most people lean towards just not liking this foundation. Everyone was very excited. Out of her entire Beautiful Skin line, I really enjoy the cream bronzer. I love the concealer. This was just a dud for me. I don't know what it is about this. I only keep this now for swatching purposes. I don't wear this foundation because that's how much I hate it. Even just powdering this foundation, the oils just come through. So if you have oily skin, I can't see you liking this. The only person I could see kind of liking this is if you have like severely dehydrated skin. Maybe you'll have to let me know in the comments, but that's the only person, like, out of all of these, I would say I could see who this would be best suited for. This one, I can't really see it working for anyone unless like you actually live in the Sahara Desert and your skin is that dry. Like you have sandpaper skin. That's the only way I could see this looking flattering on you. Other than that, like, this is just a no for me. Going into the number 3 spot, this is the Charlotte Tilbury Magic Foundation. I believe this was Charlotte Tilbury's first foundation she ever came out with, and for quite a long time, this was her first foundation. So I cannot see how many shades this comes in because I believe this is now discontinued. I can't find it on her website. I'm not really finding it at retailers. That leads me to believe that she just doesn't sell this foundation anymore, which is fine. But I do like this better than the Beautiful Skin. It's not a favorite, so it's supposed to be a demi-matte with a buildable coverage. It starts medium and you can build it up. You know, this isn't a bad foundation. I think that if you have normal leaning oily skin, you'll like this more just because of the semi-matte finish. But I can get away and I like wearing this foundation. This isn't one like the Beautiful Skin where I only keep this for swatching purposes. Like I do reach for this foundation time to time. It's just not a favorite. This foundation, and you know, I've mentioned this in other foundation reviews, this foundation is just dated. So that's why I can see why she got rid of this out of her line. You just put it on and it feels like a foundation that was popular in the 90s. I don't know how to really explain my thought process behind that, but it just feels a little bit heavy on the skin, a little bit cakey. I think, you know, when beauty YouTube was really getting big, foundation reviews, people were looking for non-cakey foundations, and that's when the shift started to happen. So I guess when I say a dated foundation, what I mean is it kind of gives you that very makeup cakey look that now newer foundations don't really give. And that's what this gives. So I completely understand why she discontinued it. However, it's not a bad foundation. And for the time, I think that this would have been a really great foundation when she first released it. Just now, it's not something that people would buy. Her other ones that I'm gonna go over soon are so much better. So if you could get your hands on it and you were like a little bit oily, I don't think you would hate this. It doesn't have any kind of glow to it. I think a semi-matte finish is perfect. It is a long wearing foundation. I do like that about this. It's a solid foundation. I just would give it, you know, if I had to rate it on a number scale, like a 4 out of 10. It's not fantastic, but it's not terrible. I will wear this and I'll pull it out. I don't want it to go to waste. And that's all I have to say about this. It's just unremarkable. For my number 2 spot, this one actually surprised me quite a bit. I wasn't expecting to like this foundation as much as I do. I tried this in my full face of Charlotte Tilbury foundation, so I'll link that video up above. But this is the Airbrush Flawless Foundation. So this comes in the most amount of shades compared to any of the other foundations. It comes in 44 shades, and this is a full coverage transfer proof foundation, and it lives up to that name. This is very full coverage, which is why I didn't really think I was going to like it. However, this looks very natural on the skin for being a full coverage foundation. And that's where this just ranked over this. This, while being buildable to full coverage, like I said, dated, this looks natural and not cakey on the skin, which is what I like about it. I do reach for this on days where I want a very full coverage look, but I want something that I know will last and won't look like I'm just wearing a mask of makeup. I love that this looks so natural on the skin. That's my favorite thing about this. It's probably one of my most natural full coverage foundations. So I really like that about this. And I do think that out of all the ones that I'm going to be talking about, this would be best for all skin types. You could shear it out and even cut it with a moisturizer, and that also works out well. I don't do that too often just because I have so many foundations. I don't really need to try and make a foundation work for me when I want to. I'll just reach for another one and keep this for my full coverage option. But if you wanted to make it a little bit less coverage, you could do that. I think for oily skin, it would work well as dry skin. I didn't see, when this first came out, I don't remember a lot of people talking about it. I don't have the best memory, but I don't remember a lot of people talking about it. However, the people that I did see talking about it really liked it, and I can see why. And most of those people, I want to say, have very dry skin. So that's what leads me to believe that it would work well for dry skin. And I think for oily skin, just because it looks so natural, but it's transfer proof, that oily skin people would like this foundation. Of course, like with all of these, If you have that skin type and you have opinions on these foundations, please let me know in the comments down below, because I would love to just know your opinion and if my assumption is correct. But I think that this is a really nice one. It's not an everyday foundation. I would never wear this every day. If you're someone who likes full coverage every day, go for it. This is a special occasion foundation for me, and one that I can just rely on, and that's what I love about this. And then last up, #1 spot is of course going to go to this Charlotte Tilbury Light Wonder foundation. This is probably top 10 of my all-time favorite foundations just in general. I am probably down to about here. I love this foundation. I love its versatility. The only con to this is it does only come in 12 shades. However, it is a sheer coverage foundation, so take that as you will, whether that's acceptable or not. I, again, have the shade Light 4, so I feel like it could go deeper, definitely. And this is supposed to give a dewy finish, but talking about the versatility, I feel like you can make this look semi-matte if you wanted, if you just powder correctly, which is kind of what makes this in the top 10 for me. Is just that I can make it dewy, I can make it kind of matte. It does last a long time. It looks very natural on the skin. I use this a lot to cut a lot of other foundations. If something's just a little bit too heavy cakey, like these two, I actually haven't tried this, but I bet these two look really great together. It would just cut this down and make it look a little bit more natural because of the dewy qualities in here. So that's why I give this #1. I would say, you know, oily skin people probably aren't going to appreciate this foundation as much as maybe the Airbrush Flawless foundation. However, people with dry skin, people with normal skin will really like and appreciate if you like a sheer coverage foundation. Like I mentioned at the beginning of this, that's just my preference, which also just makes this #1 because of preference. I just also think this looks really beautiful on the skin. I wouldn't be afraid to wear this every single day as like an everyday natural looking foundation, not too heavy, but I wouldn't be afraid to also wear this on a night out in the summertime, like just like that nice, healthy looking glowy skin. This is what this foundation should have been, and this foundation came out, I think, second. I believe the Magic Foundation came out first, and then this Light Wonder, followed by the Airbrush, and then lastly, the Beautiful Skin. Once Charlotte Tilbury released this Light Wonder, all bets were off. It just brought the standard of her foundation. It set the bar so high that it's hard to just reach the tier that this foundation does. I don't think that I'm alone in thinking that this is the best foundation Charlotte Tilbury's come out with. It has SPF in it. It's just all around a great versatile foundation that I could have in my makeup bag if I had like a very minimalized makeup bag and only need these two foundations, and I would be fine. Like I wouldn't need the 50 foundations that I have. If you had these two, you'd be more than okay just mixing and matching, mixing the two. So that's kind of why I just put this as #1. If I was to recommend you to pick up any of the Charlotte Tilbury foundations, it would be this one. This one is just, it should have been this one. This one had so much potential to just overdo this one and be a more buildable medium coverage to this one, and it just fell short. The Light Wonder is 100% where it's at, and I stand by that. I use this all the time. You can see it in the description box below. Of most of my videos, I'm wearing this foundation because it gives coverage in just the most natural, beautiful way. I can build products on top without worrying that it's going to be too heavy and cakey. So overall, I just really love that foundation. And that wraps up this ranking. It's a lot shorter than I kind of anticipated. Don't forget, I'll be inserting swatches of all these foundations compared to each other. But, you know, I do love Charlotte Tilbury foundations. 3 out of 4 of liking is not bad odds. If she was to come out with another foundation, I would 100%, I know right now, pick it up and test it out, even though her last one was such a dud for me. Let me know in the comments down below if you're able to make this work and what you do, because maybe I just haven't found the magic combo for this yet, or maybe I just don't have the skin type for it. So let me know if you have opinions on this foundation specifically below. Let me know what your favorite Charlotte Tilbury foundation is, but I'm going to let you go. Enjoy the swatches, and I will see you all in my next video. Bye, everyone.